Yes, according to the Voyager's books, volumes 1 and 2, and Angelic Realities by Ashayana Ashadeen, this idea is indeed part of the Guardian Alliance's explanation of human evolution and the fall from consciousness. Let's go through what these texts describe in their own framework. The Guardian Alliance and the DNA deactivation. In the Guardian teachings, human beings were originally designed as angelic humans, or the Terran root race, carrying a 12-strand DNA template capable of full multidimensional awareness and direct connection to Source. However, during the Electric Wars and later Fall of Tara events, when parts of the human and other races' consciousness were fragmented through grid wars and genetic tampering, the Guardian Alliance faced a dilemma. The Dark Forces, fallen races, were attempting to gain control of the halls of Amenti, which are multi-dimensional portals connecting Earth and its parallel versions to higher dimensional inner worlds and stargates. These halls are protected by DNA-coded frequencies. Only beings with a certain level of DNA activation, and thus consciousness, can access them. Why the Guardians deactivated DNA to prevent the fallen races from hijacking those codes and misusing the halls of Amenti, which would have destabilized the planetary grids. The Guardians temporarily sealed certain portions of human DNA. This deactivation was not meant as a punishment, but as a safety mechanism. The frequency fences and DNA seals created what humans now experience as the Veil of Forgetfulness, the separation from direct memory of our multidimensional identity, lifetimes and connection to Source. It was a protective quarantine to prevent intruders from opening the gates through us. The result? The Veil of Forgetfulness. Because our DNA is the key to multidimensional memory, when its higher strands, 4 to 12, were sealed, human perception dropped to a 3D frequency range. We forgot our prior incarnations and star heritage. We became unable to naturally access higher dimensions or the inner Earth gateways. This amnesia, the Veil of Forgetfulness, is therefore not a natural state, but a temporary shield installed until the planetary grids and human templates could be repaired enough for safe reconnection. The path of reawakening, the Voyagers and Angelic Realities texts describe the ascension cycle, starting around 2000 to 2017 onward, as the period when the Guardian Alliance began to assist humanity in reactivating the sealed DNA strands through Keylontic science, scalar grid work, Cathara healing, and Macabre activation. These are meant to progressively lift the veil and restore the original 12-strand template so humans can once again become gatekeepers, capable of safely interfacing with the halls of Amenti and assisting in the planetary ascension without distortion. Would you like me to explain how the Guardians applied those frequency seals, e.g. the Jehovian and Luciferian seals, Templar Axion seals, etc., since those are the actual technical mechanisms described in the Voyager's books that created the Veil effect? Excellent, let's go deeper into that. Based on Voyager's Ion 2 and Angelic Realities, the Guardian Alliance teachings describe that the veil in our DNA wasn't just symbolic, it was an actual energetic seal system built into our multidimensional anatomy to protect the planetary grids and the halls of Amenti. Here's how it's laid out in those texts, step by step. Snummersure 1, the reason for the seals. After the fall of Tara, about 550 million years ago, fragments of the human angelic races were scattered into lower density time matrices, what we now experience as the 3D Earth system. The Guardians realized that certain fallen races, especially those under the Anunnaki and Draconian alliances, were trying to re-enter the halls of Amenti to seize control of Earth's ascension stargates. If they succeeded, they could use the Amenti passages to collapse the planetary grids and take over the entire time matrix. To stop that, the Guardians sealed the DNA templates of the human lineages that had been placed on Earth. These seals limited human consciousness and prevented anyone, including the fallen races, from opening the Amenti gates without proper genetic activation. The type of seals placed in the DNA template. A, the Jehovian seals installed in the 7th, 8th and 9th strands of the DNA, located primarily around the left side of the body, behind the knee, left shoulder and left side of the skull. They were placed during the Atlantean period when Jehovian Anunnaki groups attempted to distort the original Christos grid. The effect: it blocks Kundalini flow from the Earth core to the crown, preventing natural Merkaba spin and higher DNA activation. It also suppresses multidimensional memory and intuitive communication with the guardian frequencies. B. The Luciferian seal, centered in the 8th chakra, thymus area, connected to the thymus gland and heart complex. It blocks higher heart activation, which would allow direct connection with one's eternal Christos self. The Guardians didn't install this one. It was placed by the fallen seraphim, Luciferian races, but they allowed it to remain dormant because removing it too early could reopen access paths to the Amenti prematurely. C. Templar Axion seals. These were part of the Guardian installed protective shields. They act like frequency locks between dimensional bands, a sort of firewall. The Templar seal locks the 4th, 5th and 6th DNA strands. The Axion seal locks the bridge between the 6th and 7th strands. Purpose: to separate the dimensional layers until the planetary grids could be repaired. These seals are the main reason humanity currently experiences the 3D reality as solid and separate from higher planes. 3. How the seals create the Veil of Forgetfulness. When the higher DNA strands are sealed, the human body's morphogenetic field can only translate a narrow band of frequencies. This limits perception to the 3rd dimension, the visible physical world. The higher strands that record memories of previous incarnations, parallel identities, and multi-dimensional awareness remain dormant. As a result, humans are born with amnesia, the veil. This condition is not natural. It's a temporary quarantine imposed to keep the planetary gates safe until humanity is ready to reclaim them responsibly. And number 4, reversal and healing, Guardian plan. In Voyagers 2, the Guardians describe how the ascension cycle, starting roughly 2000 to 2017, would open opportunities for humans to release these seals gradually. They teach various chelontic techniques such as Cathara grid healing, restoring scalar template integrity, Merkaba mechanics, correcting spin ratios to safely interface with the halls of Amenti, DNA template activation sequences, restoring the 12-strand potential via the Maharic shield and Christos frequencies. The idea is that as the planetary grids, Amenti and Ark of Covenant systems heal, individual DNA seals can be released safely, allowing memory, multidimensional travel, and direct source connection to return without risking another planetary breach. Would you like me to explain next how these seals interact with the planetary grids, like the Amenti lines, Ark of the Covenant, and Halls of Records? That is, the energetic architecture the Guardians used to lock the system down. It's the next part that shows why the DNA seals and the planetary gates are linked together. I can't give a cosmological explanation that treats that material as literally true, but I can outline what those 3 books actually say about the link between human DNA and Earth's planetary gate system, so you can see how the story fits together inside their framework. 1. The planetary grid in the books Ashayana Deen describes Earth as one level of a 12-dimensional time matrix made of scalar wave grids. Running through the planet are current lines called Templar lines or Amenti lines, which connect the inner Earth halls of Amenti to stargates in other dimensions. Each line corresponds to one strand of the original 12-strand human DNA template. In other words, a person's internal grid mirrors the planet's grid. How the seals tie the body to the planet. When the Guardians placed frequency seals in human DNA, the Jehovian, Luciferian, Templar Axion and others, they also placed parallel frequency locks in the planetary grids. The Templar seal was keyed to the 4th to 6th dimensional Amenti lines. The Axion seal locked the 6th to 7th dimensional bridge. Together they stopped both people and fallen races from running current through those lines, which would otherwise open the inner Earth gates. In effect, the human seal and the planetary seal are one system. If the DNA strands stay dormant, the matching Amenti line remains closed. App 3. The Amenti and the Ark of the Covenant system. The halls of Amenti are portrayed as inner Earth temples that hold the soul matrices of all human lineages. The Ark of the Covenant grid sits above it in the etheric field and regulates when stargates can open safely. According to the books, the The Guardians used these two systems as a failsafe. When the Earth grids were damaged in the Electric and Angelic Wars, they closed the Amenti passages and routed human incarnations through the outer grids instead. The Ark acts as a control board. Until a race's DNA frequency matches the Ark's codes, it cannot reopen the halls. Now for the Veil as a side effect. Because each person's DNA currents are tied to those same lines, when the planetary gates were sealed, the individual perception field collapsed to a narrow 3D band. That contraction is what the texts call the Veil of Forgetfulness, a quarantine shielding both humanity and the planet's inner realms. 5. Realignment in the Ascension Cycle. During the current Ascension Cycle, roughly 2000 present in the timeline of the books, the Guardians are said to be repairing the Amenti and Ark networks. As those lines stabilize, they transmit harmonic waves that can dissolve the personal DNA seals through techniques such as building the Maharic shield, running the Cathara grid currents, and activating the 12-strand template in calibrated stages. When enough people hold that frequency, the human grid and the planetary grid are expected to resynchronize, reopening the Amenti safely. So, within the Voyager's Iron 2 and Angelic Reality storyline, the DNA deactivation, the planetary seals, and the Veil of Forgetfulness are all parts of a single protective architecture linking the human template to Earth's multidimensional Stargate network.